And that's the kind of resilience that we want to give the Black American children, so that they have so much confidence in their own future that when they do encounter the inevitable racism, that it will bounce off them, that they'll be, like the Avengers, they'll be immune to it. And then we don't have to stop racism altogether, because we're never going to be able to do that, but we can have children that are not affected by it, that don't internalize it, that don't see it as their problem. They see it as the person whose race is problem.
Mm.
I'm gonna have to take a walk. I'm
Yeah, this was like an exhale moment.
A lot of deep breaths.
Yeah, we supposed to let.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got to talk about Roly-Poly-Oly Roland Martin, okay? Because he's really showing the world how desperate he is in order to maintain relevance, considering how Kamala Harris lost, right? Because Kamala Harris lost, and part of the reason why she lost is because in certain key swing states, like, for example, Georgia, Wisconsin, etc., black people did not turn out and vote for Kamala Harris at the rate that they have voted for Democrats in the past. And that's because the black bourgeoisie, right, the plantation overseers like Roland Martin, they're not as effective as they used to be, okay? And I think a lot of these people are on the chopping block, okay? I think a lot of the race hustlers, they know that their time is up. And because they're no longer needed by the Democrat Party, at least for right now, and they probably won't be needed in the future. If Democrats were smart, they'd get rid of these people, right? They would distance themselves far away from these people because they're toxic, okay? And you can see the toxicity because now that they have nothing to do, right? They can't shield on behalf of Democrats and Kamala Harris for right now. They're back to their same old tricks, right? Boohoo, whining, and crying, racism, and fake outrage, right? And you know that is what this reaction is from Roland Martin, because for some reason he dug up an old clip of RFK telling black people, hey, you don't have to be a victim of racism, right? You don't have to live your life as a victim. And he fake outraged over it. And I really want to react to it because this type of stuff is why black people are still at the bottom and why we're going nowhere fast, as long as people like Roland Martin are considered to be leaders within the community. Take a look.
So I don't think you can change that part of human nature. What you can do is you can make kids resilient against it. And the way you do that is by giving them a great education so that they know that they have potential. And the other thing is to give them business models, role models, and opportunities within their own neighborhood. Black men who are running barbershops, who are running bars, who are running dance studios, who are running local businesses, restaurants, etc., and who are part of that community. And when I was a kid, my uncle was the first Irish Catholic president of our country, and when he ran for president, there was a tremendous resurgence in anti-Catholic sentiment in this country, and a resurgence of the Ku Klux Klan. I remember crosses being burned when I was a kid against an anti-Catholic president. I was called anti-Catholic slurs when I was a kid, but it never bothered me. If somebody called me that, I would think that guy's got a problem. But I didn't think I have a problem. And that because I had a great education, I had a family who loved me, I had role models in my country, I had confidence in my own future. Those kind of things had no impact on me. And that's the kind of resilience that we want to give the Black American children, so that they have so much confidence in their own future that when they do encounter the inevitable racism, that it will bounce off them, that they'll be, like the Avengers, they'll be immune to it. And then we don't have to stop racism altogether, because we're never going to be able to do that, but we can have children that are not affected by it, that don't internalize it, that don't see it as their problem. They see it as the person whose race is problem.
And so we are supposed to sit here and accept that kind of bullshit?
Whew.
We're supposed to sit here and tolerate this ignoramus trying to tell black people, folk who are the descendants of people of African descent, who were kidnapped and taken from Senegal, from Ghana, from Sierra Leone, and other African nations, and transported across the Atlantic and dropped off in Brazil, in Jamaica, in Haiti, in the Dominican Republic, all across the Caribbean before arriving here. The millions that died in the transport, and then those that came here and were savagely beaten and treated and shamed and degraded. Black women who had babies cut out of their womb. Black men who had their penises cut off. Do we need to describe what white folks did in America to the body of Nat Turner, where his entire body was mutilated and held up like a trophy? Do we need to talk about 300 black people dying in Tulsa in 1921? Do we need to talk about the Red Summer of 1919? Do we need to talk about the savage brutality in Wilmington, North Carolina? Should we talk about the constant bombings and beatings and lynchings that took place? Should we talk about the group of black soldiers who killed white folks in Houston for how they were being treated? We can go on and on and on and on and talk about Rosewood. We can go all across this country. And this son of a bitch has the audacity, the unmitigated gall to sit in front of a group of black people and explain to them how in the hell we should equip our boys and girls to be resilient. Real simple, RFK Kennedy. Fuck you.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Now, first and foremost, I just want to say this. Just for the record, Roland Martin has never went through any of those things that he's talking about, right? All that, oh, well, the slaves, they were stolen, which they weren't stolen, by the way, right? They weren't stolen, they were sold. A vast majority of them were sold, but they were stolen, right? You did not experience any of that, right? At all, okay? So I'm not sure what is the point of bringing that up. Well, the point of bringing that up is that because these people haven't actually went through any of these things that they use to try to guilt trip people into giving them special treatment, right? All of these things they claim in regards to why it's so hard to be black in America, they never went through. Roland Martin's idea of it being hard to be black in America is him struggling to convince people that running ads on his very tiny network is a good investment.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has no idea. Even if you have all of the degrees. See, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. talk about all that resilience and that Avengers. I don't let nobody white mistreat me. I don't let anybody, black or white, talk to me any way they want to. But don't you think for a second, when I'm having to sit here and I'm talking to Group M, and I'm talking to Publicis, and I'm talking to Horizon, and I'm talking to IMG, I'm talking to all of these ad agencies, and then they decide, no, we're not gonna buy black. And they don't say we're not gonna buy black. They just don't buy black. When I'm dealing with political campaigns, when you look at the top 5 firms, ad agencies, and how much money they made, more than $600 million was funneled into those firms. And the top one was $280 million. Do y'all know what the top amount of money that went through a black ad agency in the Harris for President campaign? It was $28 million. Top white firm was $280 million. 10 times more. See, I can go on and on and on.
Yeah, so that's Roland Martin's idea of the black struggle, right? That somehow, some way, he's a victim, even though he is a multimillionaire, okay? He's a victim because he doesn't make as much money as he believes that he should be making, considering the fact that he owns a black media network. But see, what Roland Martin doesn't understand is that the ad buyers are not discriminating against you because you're black. They're discriminating against you because your network is tiny, right? You do not have a large enough audience to justify spending hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars on ads on your channel, right? You just don't have the juice that you think that you have. Also, on top of that, your market is extremely niche. One, you claim that your target audience is black people. That's only 13% of the population. And then once you break it down even further, this guy clearly doesn't want black conservatives to watch his show, to watch his network. So he's really targeting black liberals, which breaks it down even further. Also considering the fact that I would say that a lot of black people in this country aren't necessarily interested in political commentary and watching the news. I'm not saying none are interested. I'm just saying that's just not a part of a majority of the content that black people consume. They tend to consume. Yeah, you have a very, very, very tiny niche audience, and you've done that to yourself because essentially you have said that, hey, I only really want to target black people. And when you do that, yeah, it becomes a lot harder for a company to come in and say, hey, let me invest in this so-called black-owned media network because the market is just not there. Okay, this is the reason why all of these so-called black networks end up failing. As soon as I hear one of these geniuses come out and say, we're going to launch another black network, right? I know it's going to fail, right? I wish I could short it, right? That's the first thing that I say because I already know it's going to fail. This is why the Griot is struggling. The Black News Channel, you guys remember that? The Black News Channel? That was a thing a couple years ago. Failed. And I said it would fail because you just don't have a large enough target audience, okay? Roland Martin is not pulling in 100,000 people that are simultaneously watching his news channel all day long. He's not doing that. So you shouldn't get paid like you do that. You don't have a large enough audience. That's the reality. But again, in his world, no, it's not because of that. It's not because of basic business principles or that his business model is flawed. No. It's because I'm black. They don't respect me as a black man, right? But ultimately, at the end of the day, what I want to say is this. RFK is right. He's 100% right. This whole, you have to be a victim because racism happens is nonsense, right? Anybody in this country can overcome adversity if you equip yourself with knowledge, if you surround yourself with role models and people that can help you or that want to help you, if you put yourself in the right situations, if you make good decisions, you can overcome and become successful in this country. Racism is not holding anybody back. It's not. But see, people like Roland Martin, they want you to believe that, right? This is why he's so upset, which again, a lot of this is performative, right? He's just doing it because he ain't got nothing else to talk about. So he, again, cry racism and fake outrage over RFK, right? This is what they do, okay? Because again, they ain't got nothing else to talk about. They have nothing else. His whole business model is making black people feel like they're victims, okay? And RFK coming out and saying, no, you're not a victim, that you can overcome. Racism is not holding you back. That is a direct threat to his business, right? Roland Martin's business. Because people like him wouldn't have relevance. They wouldn't be able to make money if they couldn't sell the whole black people are victims narrative. But what RFK said, again, was 100% correct. You have two options in life, right? If you are a so-called black person, okay, and you're worried about racism, you can succumb to it, right? You can say, the white man is too strong. I can't do it, right? And you can just not even try, which means that you will fail. And boohoo, whining and crying and complaining is not going to change your circumstances, right? That's not going to make the white man stop being racist, okay? This idea that boohoo, whining and crying is going to make the white man get his boot off your neck is nonsense, right? This is why I don't understand these individuals who think that the system is systemically racist and that they're trying to hold black people back, okay? And that there's this whole cabal of white individuals that are doing this to black people on purpose, but yet they think that the white man somehow, some way, for some reason is going to stop doing that, right? Again, it's ridiculous. It's nonsense. But Your other option is, yeah, to equip yourself to do exactly what RFK said, to educate yourself, to gain skills, to look for role models, to do everything you can do to overcome it, right? Don't be a victim to it. You don't have to succumb to racism as an obstacle to your success. You don't have to. There's plenty of black people who have overcome racism and have become extremely successful. Extremely successful. I mean, you had a black person, right? For all intents for this video, we're going to say that Barack Obama's black. I mean, he's African, but you know, racism is supposed to affect everybody, right? So again, you had a so-called black man become president. How did that happen if the country's so racist and that's what's holding all black people back? You have black billionaires. You have black millionaires. You have black people that are starting successful businesses that are getting ahead in this country, and a vast majority of them aren't sitting around crying, woe is me, oh, it's racist, the white man holding me back, blah, blah, blah. No, they're just plowing ahead. And again, I'm not saying that racism isn't an obstacle, but it's not an obstacle that can't be overcome. And this is the crazy part about it. And this is something a lot of people don't like to hear, but it's the honest God truth. Stuff like this is why all these other immigrant groups that come into this country, they're laughing at black folks. They're laughing at black people like Roland Martin. Because they're like, hey, we come over here and in 1 or 2 generations, we've already become upper middle class, right? We've already passed you. Y'all been here forever. And you still can't figure it out. You still boohoo, whine, and cry about white supremacy when the white man and racism and all this stuff didn't hold him back. And this is why in private conversations amongst all these people, right, including the Africans, who also, by the way, again, for this very reason, this is why they don't like being associated with black folks, right? They're all laughing. They're laughing at black people like Roland Martin who say stuff like this, right? They're laughing because they're like, how have you guys not figured this out? How have black people not figured out how to get ahead in a country like this? The land of opportunity. The best place on earth to be black, but you still cry while everybody else, all the other races are getting ahead, but you still boohoo, whine, and cry about the white man and white supremacy. Didn't hold them back. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. But again, you know, as long as you have people like this, the Roland Martins of the world, the race hustlers, the Al Sharptons, the Ben Crumps, okay? As long as you have these people that are considered to be thought leaders within this country, within the black community, yeah, this is always going to be a problem, right? This is always going to be a problem because they have a vested interest in making sure that black people have this victimhood mentality, because without it, they wouldn't be able to make money, right? They wouldn't be able to make money. They'd be out of business. They'd be out of a job, okay? So, hey, RFK was 100% right. He didn't say anything wrong. And this performative outrage from Roland Martin is silly. I mean, he's really embarrassing himself after this election, after being caught being paid by Kamala Harris to shield on her behalf. He just continues to go lower and lower and lower in regards to humiliating himself. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.
You're right. When you're sitting opposite of Scott Jennings, you got to jump in his ass. You got to jump in his ass. Jump in his ass. His ass. You got to push back immediately. Jump in his ass.